Hi, everybody. My name is Jackie Cooper. I'm the founder of Beachy Jacks in Huddersfield, and I am a holistic coach, a breath worker, Kundalini yoga and meditation teacher, and a holistic coach. So I have put together around a 45-minute set. In fact, let me just check the time. Yeah. And I've entitled it The Joy of Breath. And it's really to share some breathing techniques and some knowledge and understanding around how the breath is such medicine for us. We've got all these systems inside us that are able to heal us and help us kind of navigate through all the emotions that we have. But we've just lost that, I suppose, if you like, that ancient wisdom, that knowingness, that absolute certainty that everything that we feel is there talking to us and explaining something to us. We just need to learn how to tap back in and understand the body and the systems and that inner intelligence more. So if that kind of doesn't make any sense to you, I hope that it will by the end of the session. So yeah, the joy of breath. And for this particular set, I'd like to share some breathing techniques that really help you deal with any anxiety or stress. And even, if you're spiraling into depression at the moment, these techniques are, if you like, remedies for everyday life. So there'll be some techniques that we'll be working with that have what we call hand mudras. So in other words, we're using the hands. If you imagine these as remote controls to the brain, what happens is when we move them in a certain way, we're connecting signals between the brain and the fingers that's giving the brain instructions to do certain things such as giving more clarity, feeling more inner peace, that kind of thing. And we're going to be working with something called the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. So the parasympathetic nervous system is when, again, that innate intelligence in our system knows that it's safe to allow the body to digest and relax. So it puts everything in a safe mode. And when we move into a system that's called the sympathetic nervous system, what that does is it fires up the system and starts to produce adrenaline in the body and even cortisol in the body. And when we were cave people and we used to have to catch and kill animals, depending on what your belief system is, this system used to fire up so that we could send the blood and the energy where it was needed to be able to run to and run away from an animal. The problem is now, the way that we live in our culture is that we don't have to run away from that animal anymore. And again, we release the cortisol and the adrenaline during the exercise. What happens is, we might experience something like road rage. Or you might just open that email, it's a mood changing email, or you may have had, some conflict with somebody. And often what happens is we're, because again of our cultural upbringing, if you like, and conditioning, we're often not expressing these emotions. So our systems can't work fully as they're meant to be. And what happens is all those feelings, those emotions, those traumas, any pain, heartache, etc., they get trapped into the nervous system. They get embedded in your system and they become dense energies. And the more and more this happens, the more they get impacted. And often what can happen is we can explode over what could be seemingly nothing at all. And it has to come out. So this is why, people can suddenly flip and they can go into a state of road rage. Or you can be sort of withholding some traumatic experience from maybe your childhood, which at the time, if you analyse it now, might not be such a big deal. Somebody's taken your teddy off you, but actually it's still lodged in there, and it just gets uglier and uglier, does that emotion. And once you understand that everything is energy, you start to get what can be moved, what can be shifted, what can be changed. So just working with breath, with movement and intention, we can change everything. Okay, so if me saying everything is energy is really new to you, what I'd like to just do to start off with is a very simple demonstration of you understanding that you are an energetic being as well. But the scientists amongst you will know that everything that you put under a microscope, whether it's this phone, this desk, me, everything is vibrating at a certain level, okay, because it's all energy. So I'm just going to ask you to pop your hands out straight in front. I feel like Kenny Everett, those of you who are at least as old as me that can remember this. So just put your hands out in front, and I want you to snap your fingers backwards and forwards as fast as you can, really powerfully. And just close your eyes. And at this stage, just so we've got some measurement from beginning to end, I'd like you to just measure out of 10 where you are in terms of your levels of stress or anxiety. Or it might be, you might have anger or frustration running this morning, whatever's going on for you that's a negative emotion, okay? And I'd like you to just kind of capture that score out of 10. So 10 being kind of, I'm up in my tree. I'm still having to homeschool. I'm still having to work from home. Or I'm working from home and I'm living alone, and it's just too much. It's just too much. So I want you to just start snapping your fingers really powerfully, sending them into the palms of your hands. Okay, and then I want you to take some deep breaths at the same time. So inhaling in through your nose, and then either out through your nose or out through the mouth. And just start to work with those long breaths as you continue to snap your fingers. So, yeah, most of the time I'm going to be encouraging you to breathe in through the nose, because this is the breathing apparatus that you were given. And if you carry on with your hands at the moment, so when we breathe in through the nose, one of the things that it's doing is it's creating nitric oxide, which is what's called a vasodilator. And what that does is that opens the capillaries and allows the blood to flow more freely around the body and therefore into the brain. And breathing through the nose also means that it's warming the breath so it can go into the lungs, and you're detoxifying as well. So there's loads of benefits of nasal breathing. And it's a much more calming breath, which we're going to be coming into in a minute anyway. So yeah, so you can just finish off now. You can open your eyes, and then I'm going to ask you just to have your palms wide open, around shoulder width, and just start to bring the hands together. And you'll start to feel a vibration or tingling on the palms. And you might even start to feel a bubble here. So just get to the point where you feel some resistance. And this is essentially life force energy. So this is prana. This is high frequency energy. So this is what we inhale. It's what runs through us. So when I talk about energy, this is what we're talking about. So we're breathing it in, we're letting it go. And energy and emotion are absolutely connected. So what I mean by that, they are the same thing. You can let the hands go now. So emotions are just energy in motion. And what happens is when we suppress and repress these emotions, this energy, this emotion just gets stuck in the body, as I mentioned earlier. So when we start to work with various breathing techniques, what we start to do is kind of make space. We almost loosen that cement of these emotions that are stuck deep down in there. And with the high frequency of the breath, what it starts to do is energetically just lift that denser energy and starts to release it. So going through some of this work that we're going to be going through, you're likely to have some energetic shifts. You're likely to feel quite emotional. And that's a good thing, because everything that starts to come up for you to feel gets healed, and then it can be released. So some of these breathing techniques we'll literally be doing for just a couple of minutes. But even if you just kind of adopt one of these breathing techniques and do it on a regular basis, you can't not benefit. Okay? So some of these are probably not practical for you to do, out in the supermarket if you're feeling stressed or anxiety over something that you're experiencing or you're witnessing. But I'm going to give you a key one, which is the optimal breath anyway, that you're going to be able to do anytime, any place. So I call that the Martini breath for those of you who are old enough to remember Leonard Rossiter with Joan Collins on the advert on the airplane. So yeah, anytime, any place. So we're going to start with this one, and it's called the 5.5 second breath. Don't worry about that half second, So yeah, the kind of research and technology underneath this one is that breathing for about 5.5 seconds for about 5 minutes brings into the system about 5 liters of new oxygen into the body. So when we're bringing this amount of oxygen in, we're really starting to be able to nourish every cell in the body, the bone, the blood, everything gets nourished. Okay, it's what feeds us, what feeds the brain. So you can even do this with your eyes open, but I'm going to ask you to do it with your eyes closed. And at the same time, I'm going to ask you to kind of look inwards and upwards to the third eye. So it's almost as though you're going cross-eyed. And what happens is when we start to look inwards and upwards, this is an energy center here called the sixth chakra. It's our area of intuition and wisdom, inner wisdom. And when we start to do this and move these muscles inwards with the eyes, what we're doing is we're starting to have an impact on the optical nerve, which then impacts the hypothalamus, which is another major gland in the brain, and it starts to release these hormones in the body. The main one is serotonin, that makes us feel good. So just by that movement, even just for a couple of minutes, we're starting to tap into this ancient wisdom in the body, the glandular system that produces all these feel-good glands for us, okay? So 5.5 second breath, you can do it anytime, any place. Anytime you feel that little bit of anxiety coming along, just take a moment and just reconnect. So all we're going to do is, for the purpose of this time that we've got together, we're just going to close our eyes and do it. And the breath work is quite simple. So all we're going to be doing is inhaling for around 5.5 seconds through the nose. And then we're going to be holding the breath for around 5.5 seconds. And then we exhale through the nose again for 5.5 seconds. And we just continue that loop. So just continue for a few moments. So inhaling. Count to 5.5-ish. Hold the breath, and if you can do it for longer, that's even better. Exhale. So what happens, you can continue with that breath. When we start to kind of react to a situation, whether it's a thought that we're having that creates that reaction, or whether it's something that we're witnessing on the outside, our body reacts to keep us safe. So if we're in a situation where we know that we can or we don't want to express that emotion, what happens is it's like the breath almost locks in. So it's almost as though you stop breathing. You know what I'm saying here? So And most of us kind of are locked into this very rigid breathing pattern most of the time. And we only breathe about 10 to 20% of our capacity in the lungs. So the breath tends to kind of stay up here. It's short and it's rapid. So yeah, what I want you to start to think about while you're doing this breath work now is inhale, and as you inhale, sending the breath into the belly. So just allow that belly to inhale, to rise and fall. So you're really expanding the belly and then letting it fall. So the belly is rising and falling, rising and falling. And you're just sending the breath into the gut, into the solar plexus, into the true belly. So again, it can start to reach areas that it wouldn't normally be able to reach. So just carry on here for another moment or so. Okay, so now coming back to your center, I'd like you to take a really deep inhale and exhale. And now we're going to do 3 shush breaths. This is a really good one just to shake stuff off. So we just literally inhale. And as we exhale, we make a shush sound through the nose, mouth, and then we shake the body. So if you imagine when you see dogs, when they've been in a little bit of a, I don't know, having shenanigans with other dogs, a bit of a fight, if you're a dog walker, you know exactly where I'm coming from. What they do is when they move away, they shake the whole body. They're just literally shaking the energy off. So that's a really good thing to do. Maybe you've had a situation or you come out of work, you're not feeling great, get in your car, or even, I don't know, do it outside. I don't care. I do these things now. Just do a shake, a shush breath. It's all right. People will make space around you if you do anything like that in public. And you literally shake that energy off. Even better, when you're in your own space, just put something on great to dance to and shake the whole body. So do it without any judgment at all. Not dance moves. So there's no control there. You're just allowing the body to express, get rid of this energy. So powerful for your nervous system and good for the brain to shake your head. And if a lot of you are home workers on the computer quite a lot of time, a really good technique to do, even if you just put your timer on the phone every hour, is literally just to relax the shoulders and do some neck rolls. So inhale as the head comes back, exhale as the head drops forward, nice and slowly. And what we're starting to do here, there's a few things here. We're starting to just open up the space from the spine to the brain. So if you think about it, the neck at the back here is an extension of the spine. And so what that's doing is that's opening the space, allowing blood to go to the brain, again, nourishing all the organs. And what it's also doing is it's kind of starting to open up these shoulders, and then you might find that your neck's creaking a little bit. We often have calcium deposits in this neck area here, and it's all basically stress. And then if we go in the opposite direction, we're also working the throat chakra here. We're working the thymus gland. So it's supporting your immune system. If you want to just tap in here a little bit, that activates the thymus gland and starts to, again, wake up the immune system. We're working the thyroid and the parathyroid gland there as well, which starts to give metabolism a nudge. So when you start to move into conscious breath, we also start to go into a state where we can receive more information. So we're more open, or should I say the conscious mind is more open to suggestions. So, that's why, when you're doing deep breath work in meditation, if you're listening to something with some affirmations, you can get in quickly and deep. So when you're doing your breath work, just be aware of the thoughts that are coming in. So we can't control them, so just acknowledge them and let them go. And always come back to a good feeling thought. Take one more deep inhale. And then an exhale. So in terms of the 5.5 second breath, that's all you need to do. You didn't have to do the stuff at the end. That was just an add-on. So in the supermarket queue, witnessing something, observing, a memory comes up, a feeling comes up, just do your 5.5 second breath and let me know how good that feels. So what I want you to do now is just capture how you're feeling now out of 10 in terms of, 10 being up in your tree, 1 being super chilled. And let's just see if we've come down already. So just take a moment, connect in, and then just capture your score. Okay, so now I'm going to teach you something called the left nostril breathing. And do you remember I talked about the parasympathetic, easy for me to say, nervous system? So again, this is all this inner intelligence that we have, that we can actually change our emotional state. So with the breath, we can change our emotional state. So in other words, with a very breathing technique, we can calm down or we can energize ourselves. But the breath also changes the emotional state, so it's kind of double-edged as well. So if we're in a state, we can use these breathing techniques to actually calm the body down. Or if we're absolutely so chilled and tired, we need to have an energy boost, we can do that with breath as well. So this is why the breath is medicine, okay? You don't need all these pharmaceutical drugs. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover off the right nostril with the index finger and really secure it, seal it. We're going to be again closing the eyes, so I'm scratching the nose there. Closing the eyes, again looking inwards and upwards. And we're just going to take some long deep breaths in through the left nostril. Okay. In through the nose, slight pause at the top, and then exhale. So you're really emptying all the lungs, really emptying everything out, and then back up. Just continue with that breath. And as you inhale, again, remember you're sending the breath to the belly. So that belly should be expanding and then retracting. So you might want to just put your hand on your belly just to feel that movement and making sure that you're really filling up with the breath. Yeah, so we're sending this breath inwards and upwards to the right side of the brain, and it just knows what to do. It's got that intelligence in the system. It's saying, we can relax, we can calm, we're safe, we can be calm and safe. This is a nice one to do. Just when you've got any space, you might need to go to the loo to do this if you're at work. It might be something that you do again when you get in your car. Just that time between leaving work and going into home space, just taking a few minutes to do this and getting you back into your centered state and leaving all that stuff at work, so that when you step into your home, you're stepping into your sacred space. Just continue with that for another moment. And then just taking a deep inhale, exhale, and then just opening the eyes. So left nostril breathing, lovely to do just as you get into bed for a few minutes as well, just to help you go into a nice sleep. Again, if you wake up in the night, this one is a lovely one to do. Just sit with that breath. And then we'll do the opposite of this. So this stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system. So imagine it's kind of like 3 o'clock in an afternoon and you might be reaching for a coffee and maybe a bar of chocolate. You're at work and you just need to be stimulated. Wherever possible, have a walk outside and get fresh air, get oxygen into the system. And I'm such an advocate for grounding, kicking off your shoes, feet to the floor whenever you can, ideally the grass, but it could be on concrete, just connecting in with the earth, with that energy. You know, this is one of the things that it's so grounding for us, so releasing, so balancing. And, you know, we wear shoes constantly and most of us wear rubber-filled shoes. So it blocks that connection. So again, this is what we used to do as humans. We just connect to the earth. This sorts us out. It grounds us. It balances us. It allows stuff to be released from the body. It sends that electrical charge back down to earth and we get recharged with all the good stuff. So, you know, again, we've been cut off, if you like, from source. If you get into grounding, just read about it. Everything is out there. Everything is available for us to research on the internet. Anyway, I went off on them then. So yeah, right nostril breathing. We're stimulating now the sympathetic nervous system. So this will fire the systems up when you need that bit of energy. Okay. So we're just blocking off your left nostril now. I don't know, I scratched my nose again, but yeah, you can support it with your hand, put it on your desk, or you might want to just free flow with it. So blocking off your left nostril, and then you're breathing in and out through your right nostril. So now, yeah, just take a deep inhale, exhale, and then open your eyes. That always sends me a little bit buzzy. And somebody said to me recently because I do some Kundalini yoga videos as well, and they said, whenever you go into some breath work or you're doing some meditation, she said, you're always moving. And she said, the other teachers, I see they're always still. So for me, what happens is when I connect inwards and upwards, that's what happens to my body. It's the energy going through it. It's the way that I balance. It's the way that I get centered and calm. So yeah, it's different for everybody, but for me, that is just fully connecting with my higher self. Okay, so now we're going to move into something called I've just completely blanked. Left and right nostril breathing. That's all it is. So what we do is, I'll explain to you, because there's quite a few things here that are beneficial on this one, but essentially what it does is it balances the left and the right hemisphere of the brain. So what we do is, I like to put the 2 fingers towards my third eye. So we press that in there. We're going to block off the right nostril to start with. So I'm going to demonstrate it and explain it as best I can here, and then we'll have a go. So again, obviously the eyes are always closed. So we inhale up through the left. Hold the breath slightly at the top. And then we block off that left nostril with that ring finger on the right hand, and then we exhale down the right nostril. Really empty the lungs out. Pause. And then we're going to inhale up the right nostril till you get to the top of the breath. Pause and hold it. Block off your right nostril, and then exhale down the left. So there's always a little bit of a whistle through my left nostril because I have a piercing. Yeah. So now let's go together. Inhaling up through the left. We're suspending the breath at the top, holding the breath, blocking off that left nostril, keeping all that goodness inside, and then exhaling down the right. Fully emptying everything out, the breath, and inhale up the right nostril. Block the right nostril off, exhale down the left. And just continue with that breathing pattern. So we're working with prana. That's all the breath is, prana. Chi, your life force energy, just different names for it. Just continue with that breath. I did say left and right nostril breathing. I've just seen my notes, actually it's alternate nostril breathing. Okay, yeah, it balances both sides of the brain. It creates harmony on a physical, emotional and a mental level. So just continue with the breath. Just keep going for a couple more minutes there. We're all right for a little bit more time. Also helps with headaches and migraines. It's very calming as well, and yeah, you tend to receive clarity with this one. So maybe if there's something that you kind of need to sit with, maybe there's something you just need a little bit of clarity on, this is a good breath to do. Again, lovely to do in bed. You might want to do this before you got a meeting, just to balance and calm the whole system. And then just make this the last round. Take one deep inhale through both nostrils. So just dropping the hands down, maybe in the last deep inhale. A nice big release in our breath. Just really letting everything go. Just feel those shoulders drop down. And just relaxing the jaw. This is an area that we tend to hold tension, so just relax the jaw. You might like to just open the mouth just to release here. And now, again, let's just check in with those scores. Where are you out of the score of 10? Just capture that number. So the last breath to teach a breathing technique for this video is the immune boosting breath. So we are working with what's called a mudra, a hand gesture. So remember I said that these amazing fingers here that are all mapped out in Chinese reflexology, have chakras in them and energy points that connect in to so many things. So we're going to use the one at the moment, the ring finger, that connects in with the brain, that tells it to increase the vitality in the body. Okay? And we're going to be using that left nostril breath that we did before. So we're going to be blocking off with the right nostril, but we're also going to be doing something called breath of fire. So if, ladies, you're on your first 3 days of your cycle, or you're pregnant, or if somebody's got high blood pressure, please do not do breath of fire, okay? Anybody that has any of those conditions, just do long inhales and exhales. So, yeah, it's like a brownie pledge or a pledge pose. So the left hand goes in line with the shoulder, and we're really connecting the pad of the ring finger and the thumb here. So we're covering the left nostril, and we're pumping the breath in and out through the nose. So let me just demonstrate. So just slowing this down, what happens is, not sure if you can see on camera here, but as we breathe in, what we do is we allow the belly to expand. So we breathe in, we send the belly out. As we breathe out, the belly comes in. So I'm just going to do a faster movement for you. So this one can be a little bit tricky to start with because it's the opposite of what we're told in terms of breathing. So especially for women in our culture, we're often breathing in, and we pull the belly in, don't we? Well, I don't anymore. Proper jelly belly. So we breathe in, and we hold the breath, and we pull the belly in, but we can still breathe and hold the belly in, if that makes sense. So we're undoing that doing, okay? So we're really using the breath as a medicine here in a very different way. Okay, so you might want to just sit for a moment and just practice the breath of fire. And I'm just going to pull all these elements together, okay? So I'll just put the timer on, and we're just going to do this for a couple of minutes again on this one. So while you're practicing and going through these breathing techniques, if you just do them for 3 minutes, everything is so impactful on the body. So right nostril, let's go. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit whilst you're doing this, so continue with the breath. This, because we're working on the immune system, we're boosting the immune system here. This is really effective to do at the start of any feelings, any start of any cold or anything like that, or flu systems. Not even touching on the C word, but any flu symptoms. This is really powerful to do. We're connecting in with the lunar breath, so it's the left nostril breathing. Yeah, it's also been evidenced that it starts to shift stuff up. So you could have some really powerful emotional shifts while you're doing this breath, and it's good for lifting out pain and sorrow from the body. Because if you remember, it's just energy that needs shifting. Yeah, all the breathing techniques that I teach you, really, they're really good for helping you with an anxiety or stress. This is also good for depression as well. So yeah, keep at this one. So yeah, just going for another minute longer here. Yeah, really good for rebalancing the body and all the bodily systems. So emotional body, physical body, spiritual body. Nearly there. And just relax for a moment. So take a deep inhale. And And exhale. Okay, so we've come to the end of our time together on this one. Yeah, if you'd like to just again score while you're in this present moment, just score yourself and just look at your journey from where you were when you first came to this recording and where you are now in that 45 minutes. So can I invite you maybe to just take one of these breathing techniques? Probably the 5.5 second breath is the one that you can do all day, every day, and just see how you can really start to manage that stuff, because it's either going to be a thought that we have that's triggering us to feel these dense negative emotions, or we are witnessing something or observing something that's impacting on us, again, that's triggering us to feel in a certain way. So knowing what you know now, you know that actually you are ultimately in control, because you can choose to actually, get into a state where you are releasing all that stuff, not accepting that stuff, and knowing that whatever goes on in the outside world, you have control of that inner world. So you can choose to react with your thoughts or not. So yeah, I would invite you to, even just put the alarm on, as I said, every hour, maybe either do your neck rolls if you're working at home, or just check in with the question, how am I breathing? How am I breathing just right now in this moment? And just get into the habit of the long, deep breathing in through the nose, out through the nose or the mouth, whichever suits you. Just aiming to do that 5 seconds, and you'll realize that your world just becomes so much more calmer. And when you become calmer, you're not reacting to things in the same way. When we go into stress and overload or overwhelm, what happens is it's like the brain goes, and we just end up being able to function on a peanut because we can't get oxygen there. So yeah, I do hope this has been of value to you. You can find me at Beachy Jacks on Facebook, on Instagram, on our website. We're based in Huddersfield. And yeah, I do hope this has been of value to you, and just, yeah, have the best day ever. Thank you.